Hi everybody, it's Laura from Green Tree, and today we are talking about different types of crackers. I know it sounds really simple, but having the right kind of cracker can make or break a snack. The texture, the flavor, each one of these things is going to make a big difference in how your overall snacks are received. And sometimes, frankly, you just want to eat them out of the box, so it matters that you get a good tasting one. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history first. This is the most traditional cracker that I'm going to sample today. Crackers are basically a wheat dough most of the time that is rolled very flat and baked until hard and crispy. It's like bread. All you really need is water, flour, and salt, except in the case of crackers, you don't really end up having to have yeast. A fun thing that I learned about crackers is the little holes that you'll see in them. I think I've got a better example. Here we go. The little holes that you'll see in crackers are actually there to prevent them from puffing up while you bake them like a pita bread and having a big pocket inside. So if you want to have your homemade crackers come out nice and flat, try poking some little holes in them if they're any kind of a traditional soft dough, and you shouldn't have that problem of the puffing up and being round like an oyster cracker. Now, historically, crackers kind of descend from things like flatbreads and hardtack, which are breads that are not leavened. They're usually pretty quick to make and often travel well. So like armies and sailors would carry these kinds of things. But crackers, of course, are more delicate and crispy, and therefore, most of the time a lot tastier. And so they really caught on around the world and are a traditional vehicle for all sorts of different kinds of snacks. Now, like I said, traditionally, crackers would have wheat flour, and that first one I showed you is a traditional style wheat cracker, and it's got that sort of firm, bready kind of texture to it. When you chew it, it's crispy, but it's got some softness to it as well, and that's because of the wheat flour. This has that basic buttery cracker flavor, and it's going to be good with whether you're using a savory or a sweet snack. So the things that I'm going to serve with them today are sunflower butter, which is really good. It has a very distinct sunflower flavor. It's creamy like peanut butter, and it'll go well with sweet or savory toppings. So you could put some of this and a banana on top of one of these guys, and it would be just as good as if you went with my other option, which is this aged cheddar and some mustard. It's going to go either way because it's just a nice kind of mild base flavor. And this is Kerrygold aged cheddar. It's kind of, I would say, a bit sharp, fairly firm, but really smooth. So I kind of like this one. This is one of my favorite cheeses that we have if you're going to go with dairy cheese. Now, some crackers have a stronger flavor on their own, and the rest of the options I'm going to show you are gluten-free options, and they all have more distinctive flavors. So this one is a cauliflower cracker. It's cheddar cracker, and you can see it's got that distinctive little cracker hole in the middle. And these, despite being gluten-free, have a very classic cracker texture, similar to the wheat cracker that I just showed you. It's got that firmness to it, even though it's still crispy. The cheese flavor is definitely there. It's got that kind of Cheez-It taste, but because they're made with cauliflower, they remind me a little of broccoli cheddar soup. So they're actually kind of good on their own, and they work really well with things like a piece of cheese, whether that's dairy or non-dairy, or because there is a version without cheese in it. And things like soups. They go really well with soups. Yeah, Christine, the picture is always backwards except for my name tag because I film it so I can see what I'm showing you guys. And unfortunately, I have an Android, and Facebook doesn't allow you to flip the picture when you're filming in the selfie mode. So that's why it's backwards. So bear with me, and if you want to see them forwards, feel free to stop in because I'm going to be doing this until about 5:30. Okay, next one is also gluten-free, but this has a super different texture. This one is more like the kind of cracker you would make in a dehydrator, and you can see it's got all sorts of different nuts and seeds in it. And because it's not a traditional dough, this one isn't going to puff up on you no matter how you bake it, so you don't have to worry about poking holes in it. I guess unless it's a really wet dough, in which case the edges might cook faster than the middle and you could get a little bit of a dome shape, but you're not going to get a big puffed up pocket like you can with a traditional flour cracker. These are super, super crispy and light. Like, they give you a really satisfying snap. They don't have that dough texture to them. And they have kind of a mild sesame flavor. I know this one is technically chia and hemp, but for me, the strongest flavor that comes through is sesame. So you could serve this with like a cream cheese and honey if you wanted to go in the sweet route, or you could go ahead and do it with little pieces of fruit. That would be really good too. Or the more traditional like veggies and cheese. In this case, they're showing radishes on top, which is kind of English, would probably taste okay, but it's not my usual go-to for crackers. So if anybody's tried putting radishes on your crackers, let me know. I'm curious how that would be. Now, we got another gluten-free one that manages to have that classic cracker texture. These guys, the Simple Mills, we have a few of their flavors, and they all have this same texture. And you can see they've got a very traditional cracker look with the little holes in them and stuff. These are great for your traditional deli platter type snacking because they do have a pretty strong savory flavor. This one's garlic and herb. To me, the herb flavor is stronger than the garlic flavor, but they're very tasty, and they have that kind of firm, slightly chewy dough cracker texture to them. Then, I think a lot of you have probably tried these, but if you haven't, I definitely recommend it. These are pecan nut thins. Now, we have different kinds. There's almond is the perennial favorite and comes in a lot of different flavors. But the pecan by itself is a really nice taste, and this is another one that will go with sweet or salty. I mean, it tastes mildly of pecans. They're super, super crispy and light, but they hold together really well. Unlike some of the more delicate seed crackers, you can put just about anything on one of these. You can dip it into stuff and it's not gonna break as you do. So these are a really nice snacking cracker, whether you eat them by themselves or you wanna put a whole bunch of good stuff on top. I think this one has like pate and a pecan, which would be an interesting combination. You can actually make pate out of nuts. So if you wanted to make a nice vegan pate, this would be a good vehicle for it. So those are the crackers that I'm going to show you guys today. Obviously, there are so many other different kinds of crackers in the world, like butter crackers, saltines, water crackers. If you have any favorites, throw them on there. I would love to know what they are. If anybody's curious, I really like water crackers. I know they don't really have a flavor, but I like them for some reason. So I'd be curious to hear what your favorites are, and if you want to try any of the ones I showed you today, come on down. I'm going to be sampling them till about 5:30. And in the meantime, I hope everybody's having a fantastic Tuesday. See you next week. Bye.